All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the regular scheduled Taber Town Council meeting for June 28th, 2021. Call the meeting to order and ask for the adoption of the agenda as presented, please. Councilor Strauss.
Yes, Your Worship. I'd like to make a motion that council adopts the agenda as amended to allow for the opportunity to undertake closed session items prior to the timing of delegations at 5 p.m.
All right, thank you. Amended agenda motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Great, thank you. On to item number 3, adoption of minutes. Item 3.1, minutes of the regular meeting of council, May 25th, 2021. Mr. Orwa.
Yes, His Worship. Just a quick explanation there. I could see here regular council minutes for May 25th, so it's just some housekeeping there. I think it was read as May the 10th, and maybe the administration takes that responsibility, so we're just requesting that we read it correctly because it was picked up by live stream. It should be May 25th and not May 10th as originally read in the motion.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Someone for to make a motion, Councilor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can make that motion. So I move that council rescinds resolution 269/2021, which states, moved by Councilor Firth, that council adopts the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on May 10th, 2021 as presented.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Great, thank you. All right, on to, sorry, Councilor Firth.
I can make the second motion
All right.
as well if you'd like. I move that council adopts the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on May 25th, 2021 as presented.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 3.2, minutes of the regular meeting of council, June 14th, 2021. Mr. Orwa.
Yes, His Worship, so we have the June 14 minutes for your consideration.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Someone prepared to make that motion? Councilor Garner.
Mr. Mayor, I can make that motion. The council adopts the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on June 14th, 2021 as presented.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimous. Thank you. Item 4, business arising. Item 4.1, traffic committee review. Mr. Shear, Mr. Orwa.
I think Mr. Shea is already there. Just proceed, please.
All right, thank
Good
you.
afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
As requested from council, the policy procedure come to council for review. We should point out that members of the traffic committee are the CAO, Director of Engineering Public Works, a member of the TPS at Taber Police Service, and one member of council. And the mayor sometimes comes and helps us with his expertise in the past. And so we reviewed it, and we're here for council suggestions on the committee and where you would like to go with that.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising for Mr. Shear? Councilor Strauss.
Yes, Your Worship, to Mr. Shear, there's a couple of items here that I've picked up on that perhaps we need clarification on, just to see who's in authority here. And the first one is on the background. And it says there are 2 streams of authority that are recognized by the traffic committee, those being the elected council of the town of Taber and the appointed chief administrative officer. The chief administrative officer can request a vote of members for the purpose of making a recommendation to council on any item. So to clarify, in my mind, that tells me or suggests to me that the council has the ultimate authority with the CAO.
You're correct on that, yes.
So when changes are made to traffic control devices,
You could say traffic control devices or regulatory signs.
so then those items then should come back to council before that they go ahead on?
You could, but right now, the way the bylaw is written, it's the CAO's authority. Because we gave that's why I included the traffic bylaw. If you look on traffic bylaw, and it's page 18 of 37, where the authority of the CAO was given all the authority. There's actually 3 pages of it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Shear. I think just to clarify with that also, that's the examples you've given there. I believe there's 10, and 8 out of 10 are doing just what we're doing.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Yep. For
Councillor
other
Strauss?
municipalities, yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay, and a follow-up, under the Traffic Committee, under the operating guidelines, item number 4 says the elected council has authority when changes to the traffic bylaw itself are determined necessary, and such changes shall be presented as recommendations for decisions in an acceptable manner. So, again, are these items that we need to adjust to?
So it's a suggestion, if your member of the committee came and said, hey, I'd like to bring that back to council for review, then that's what we would do. A lot of our information for regulatory signs is based on police service information, right? So we have recommended in the past a new roads master plan. Our old one is outdated. I think it was 1982 since it's been done. Part of that would give us the information on flow data and volumes and things like that, so you could make more informed decisions where those regulatory signs should be, or traffic control devices. But that got canned.
Councillor Strauss?
Yes, Your Worship, I just feel that the direction here is not totally 100 clear in my mind, whether, you know, because it does recognize the council, the elected council, and then the CAO, and yet some of these seem to go ahead without, so I'm not just quite sure if this is clear enough for all of us, or maybe I'm the only one that misunderstands it, maybe the rest of council's very clear with it.
Councillor Bruin?
Sorry, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Have the same questions as Councillor Strovis. There's a certain intersection that I've had lots of complaints about that we just put four-way stop signs on, and I did actually have a close call getting rear-ended there the other day. People come off the highway, cross the tracks, and all of a sudden they have to stop, and people don't expect that. I think that the council should have a little more say on when we do, especially a significant intersection like that, have some say in it.
And council's motion could be that all regulatory signs come to council for approval, or traffic control devices, if you choose to do so.
Yeah, all right. Any other comments, questions, concerns? I think just to clarify a little bit also there, that's in the past, that I think it was a little bit loosey-goosey there, so that's kind of why I went with the format we're doing now, and or enhanced that, get a little bit of modulation here. Is that me or oh, okay. Just a little bit of enhancement that we decided to do, coming back to council for courtesy when things were changed. It's coming back after every quarterly meeting there, so I thought, I don't know, that's the last 3-4 years anyway that's been going on, right? So that seemed to work very well. I'm not quite sure where the differences come in, but that was done for courtesy purpose for the rest of council when this information came up, and everything up until just lately has been pretty smooth, all things considered. So I'm not sure what else needs to be done necessarily, or what, any other suggestions, Mr. Shearer, your end from the administrative side?
Other than maybe council's motion, but we really would like more data before we do anything like this. And part of that infrastructure, the roads master plan would help with that. Right now, like I said, we totally rely on the police service for that information.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I would agree, there's many conversations there that Inspector Kaler is leading that information discussion there with, from his experience also, and what's been problematic in different areas as well. That's the basic gist of what's occurred, for sure. Councillor Strauss?
Yes, Your Worship, I'm gonna try a motion here. That council directs administration that all traffic control devices come to council before implementation by the traffic committee.
All right, thank you. Councillor Beckering?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd ask for a friendly amendment from Council Strovis to insert the word permanent structures, permanent traffic control devices, because there are many times when there's an event taking place, for example, where the CEO has authority to temporarily close a street or a road on a 1 day or 1 hour basis, whatever. So if you would consider that, sir, I'd I would like that.
I'll accept that friendly amendment.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Friendly amendment motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? All right, carried. Thank you. All right, on to item 5, bylaws. Item 5.1, bylaw 2021. Mr. Orwa.
Sorry, Ms. Vanham. All I've just said the last 1 minute, just for the live stream to pick that up, as per the government of Alberta's open for summer plan, the province will be lifting their provincial mandatory mask mandate as July 1. Now, what that means is we are left with what's in effect, and enforcing some of those laws might become a nightmare. So we do have this one presented before council today to see if we can rescind our bylaw, mask bylaw. Now, the last time we looked at it, remember, we all agreed that probably the provincial mandate supersedes everybody's, including ours. So that is what we have before you for council discussion.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Bruin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do we have any data saying what the percentage of the population of the town of Tabor or the MD is on their second shots?
I'm not very sure whether we have that data with us, but that's something we can explore. But at this moment, I don't think we do.
I believe Tabor's lagging behind a little bit. We have some people that don't believe in the vaccines in this community, but as we've said all along, we should follow the provincial mandate. I agree with it's probably time, but I hope people will be smart with this and still wear the mask when it's necessary.
I think just to add something there, also even if you look at it from provincial standpoint, I think masking may be required in limited and specific settings. So people will still be wearing masks in some specific settings as per the direction from the province as well.
All right, thank you, Councillor Bruin.
I believe I emailed all of council the letter from the Lethbridge doctors that they're going to present to council about masks. I'm not sure if anyone read it, but that's some knowledgeable doctors speaking there, and one of them is actually one of mine. So I do respect what they're saying. So that's something we may want to take into consideration.
All right, thank you, Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm prepared to make a motion.
All right, thank you.
That council give first reading to bylaw number 20-2021, a bylaw to repeal temporary mandatory face coverings, bylaw 20-2020 at this meeting.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Councillor Firth, you had a question?
Yes, I am speaking in support of the motion, but I would like to also remind any individuals that feel more comfortable wearing a mask that they should continue to do so, and also that any business that feels that they would like to still require their patrons to wear a mask is well within their rights as a business owner to do that. But again, I am speaking in favor of this motion.
All right, thank you. Yes, I believe you would expect to see some other business doing that, at least for some time in the future as well. You're right, that is their prerogative. Councillor Bruin.
Yes, I agree strongly. I agree strongly with what Councillor First says there, but I believe Mr. Beckering said bylaw 20 instead of bylaw 22-2020.
Mr. Mayor, I'll read it again, Mr. Mayor.
All right, sure.
Mr. Mayor, move that council gives first reading to bylaw 20-2021, a bylaw to repeal temporary mandatory face coverings, bylaw 22-2020 at this meeting.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Councillor Stravas.
Yes, Your Worship. I'm also in favor of removing these, and you know, I fully understand, you know, when you're in crowded conditions on trains, places like that, you go into health clinics, you know, hospitals, dentists, doctors' offices. I believe that Alberta Health Services should institute mandatory mask coverings in those type of places, because that's where the sick people go, and it should be confined more. So hopefully Alberta Health Services will take and make those changes. But I'll move ahead with a motion that council gives second reading to bylaw 20-2021, a bylaw to repeal temporary mandatory face coverings bylaw 22-2020 at this meeting.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously, thank you. Someone prepared to make the third motion. Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council unanimously agrees to proceed with third and final reading to bylaw 20-2021, a bylaw to repeal temporary mandatory face coverings bylaw 22-2020 at this meeting.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously, thank you. Someone prepared to make the fourth required motion. Councillor Bruin.
Mr. Mayor, before we make the fourth motion, have we any idea what the MD is planning on doing with this?
No, it's, Mr. Chair, no, we're not aware of that at all. So I believe they meet tomorrow, so no, I don't think there's been any discussion in that regard.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, my mic was off.
All right, thank you. The fourth required motion, Councillor Bruin.
I'll make the motion that council gives third and final reading to bylaw 20-2021, a bylaw to repeal temporary mandatory face coverings bylaw 22-2020.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Councillor Chavez.
Just for clarification, being that we're making this motion tonight, so for clarification purposes, so does that mean then that in our area here, people can go without masks tonight, or does that mean it's got to wait till July 1st? Just for clarification, so that people that are watching have a full understanding of just when actually the
All right.
motion goes into effect.
Fair enough. I think administration can address that as well, but I believe I can ask or add some clarification to that. July 1st is the provincial mandate. So we're dealing with our bylaw, temporary mask bylaw here in this community. So it would be today's date for ours, but the provincial bylaw is still in place until July the 1st. Correct, administration? Mr. Scheer, Mr. Orwa?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, that is correct.
All right, thank you. Councillor Beckering.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The long and the short of it is, Mr. Mayor, that even though we passed this repeal, probably, the effect is that all people are required to wear a mask in indoor place in the province of Alberta until July the 1st.
That's
Provincial
correct.
mandate, not a bylaw, a law. Thank you.
That's correct. Thank you for that. All right, motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Great, thank you. On to item 6, action items. Item 6.1, walking path lighting options. Mr. Orwa.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, just before maybe Mr. Scheer goes through the walking path lighting options, just to answer the question that was raised by Councillor Bruin there, I did get some statistics from the MD side on the vaccine, and the percent of people immunized at least one dose, so 75 plus, we have about 829 people, and 60 to 74, that's about 73.8%, about 1,739. And then 40 to 59, about 2,000 people. And then all ages, I would say, about for over 6,000 people, the first dose is sitting at 35%. So that is MD. And probably we'll look for more statistics for TABE as you had requested.
All right, thank you, Mr. Orwa. All right, Mr. Scheer, go ahead.
Thank you. So we're talking about our walking path options. This was a standing item from council that we look into lighting of the pathway along Highway 3 all and then up at Highway 864. We looked at solar options. It was quite expensive. It was $288,226. And we contacted Fortis. They were $150,000 and $190,000 in total. Kiwanis Club said they'd like to help with the effort. We haven't heard back from them yet. I still think they're interested, but Fortis has given us a good option now where they've actually reduced their costs to $83,000. And we have to thank their employees that walk that pathway. They went back to their employer from Fortis and said, can you help us out anyway? So they have a program there where they contribute to their community. So they cut the cost down in half. So you know, thank them for doing so. So really, their offer is only good for 60 days, so we wanted to bring it forward to council to see if you would look at that. But there is still the option of the Kiwanis Club coming forward, and maybe the Kiwanis Club is more appropriate for the trout pond area then. They can look into that. One good thing with Fortis, now Alberta Transportation recognizes them as a supplier, so they don't have to review any of the lighting details, because there are requirements on highways for street light, for any sort of lighting that Alberta Transportation looks at. Because it's Fortis, they're fine with it, so they're in agreement with it. So we'll open it up for your discussion.
All right, thank you, Mr. Scherer. Councillor Bruin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Could we bring this first picture up on the screen of the poles? I think the next one after that. No, it's still the Fortress, where their poles are located.
So that's where their poles are located. That's
Where every line's written there. That's a, do we have enough poles to be adequate for lighting? It's very generous
This
of
is
Fortress
solar,
with their
yeah.
offers. This is solar, but can we go to the power poles with Fortis option?
Yes, this is it.
That's it. Okay, what I'm looking at has yellow 70-watt LED lights on
Yeah,
the pole.
no, it'll be LED, it'll be LED.
Yeah. Now, 70 watts, how is that compared to our street lighting? What are they? Are they 70 or 100?
They're actually with LED, I think they're 38 is what they're called. And they're just as bright as the normal sodium lighting.
Like
right?
our street lights we have,
Yeah,
they'll be
yeah.
basically the same light.
But you gotta realize it won't be street lighting because there is a variance in spacing, things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking a pathway, not a street light.
Yeah, so, but we can expect kind of the same sort of light.
Oh, yes, same
Shine from.
bluish light, okay?
Yeah.
One good thing about Fortis is, once, you know, if you decide to move ahead with this, they maintain all those lights. We
Yeah.
don't have to maintain any of those.
I think it's a very, very generous offer from Fortis to do this, but I hope we have enough poles there. If we have to add an extra pole or something, we're able to do that.
All right, thank you, Councillor Garner.
Mr. Mayor, at this time, after having read all of this information, I'm prepared to make a motion.
All right,
The council directs administration to proceed with the Fortis Alberta addition of streetlights to their existing poles along the east side of Highway 864 and the north side of Highway 3 as quoted for the combined amount of $83,616.97, not including GST, to be funded from capital reserves.
all right, thank you. Councillor Bruin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before we jump into spend $86,000, we should maybe consult with our accountant to make sure that this is financially viable before we just spend the money.
Mr. Urwa?
Could you please, Ms. Councillor Brown, could you be very specific? What do you want me to
We're
address?
asking for $86,000 from next year's, or to be taken from capital reserves. Can we afford to do this now, or is this a timing issue, or?
Of course, everything will depend on the timing issue and the need at that point, exactly what council wants to see at any given point. Because the direction has to come from council. And of course, we also look at the necessity of following the project that is on the table at that point.
All right, thank you, Councillor Chavez.
Yes, Your Worship, mine is also along the finance details. Can you give us an idea of what we have in capital reserves at this point? Maybe you don't have that at your fingertips, and maybe we should just defray this until we do have the information. Oh, we've got some answers coming here.
So we brought forth 3 additional projects, which were in 2021 capital. Is that our bridge file rehab, our waste transfer station road, and our trout pond road rehabilitations. We finally heard on funding on the bridge file road. It's been accepted. It's just council's information. But these projects, with the municipal amount to be funded, was about $663,000 from out of for your 2021 capital budget. That will probably be carried into next year because we don't have time this year to complete that. So we'll just go to engineering, tender, and then the projects will actually happen next year. So there is ability to move that in this capital year project here.
All right, thank you. Councillor Beckering?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Asked and answered. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we do have a motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Great, thank you. Item 6.2, Department of Records. Mr. Orwa?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, you do have department reports
Oh, sorry,
before you.
records, sorry. Department reports, that's right.
Correct.
All right, go through all these individually. If you have any questions, just please stop me accordingly. First off, Administrative Services Department reports. Treatment Facilities reports. Public Works Department report. Did I miss one in there? All right. HR Department report. Fire Department report. Recreation Department report. CAO Department report. Finance Department report. And Planning and Economic Development report. Seeing no questions arise, someone prepared to make a motion. Councillor Bruin?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I have a question for Public Works. How is the paving coming along with the parking lot by the small ice arena? Any unexpected problems found, or is it what we expect or budgeted for?
No, it's exactly as expected. Actually, we're gonna save a little bit of money. We had planned to actually take out more gravel. So the granular materials, 80% of it's better than what we thought. So we're doing well, and it should hopefully be paved up in the next week and a half.
Oh, that's great. One other follow-up question to that. Are we planning on putting lines for parking on that? Or?
Yes, that's all part of that project, is all new lines.
Yeah, I remember Councillor Strovis, probably me, recall, went to an event where one person parked differently than ever before.
Yeah.
And they fit so many more vehicles because everyone followed how they parked. I don't know what event it was, but it really seemed to add to the parking space there. So we should really examine how we put the parking.
We have a whole new design, yes.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
All right, thank you. Someone prepared to make a motion accepting all the department reports. Councillor Firth?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move the council accept the department reports for information.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And on to mayor and councillor reports. Councillor Firth?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have attended all of the meetings that I've been required to. I would like to mention that the Tabor Handy Bus Board is actively recruiting community board members. So if there's anybody that thinks that they would be a good fit for that board, I would encourage them to apply for that. And also Tabor and District Housing Foundation, I've been attending those meetings, including building committee meetings for the modernization or the potential modernization of Clearview Lodge.
All right, thank you. Councillor Beckering?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nothing to report.
All right, thank you. Councillor Garner?
Nothing new to report.
All right, thank you. Councillor Chavez?
Yes, your worship, a couple items I want to bring up. Municipal Planning Commission, there's been a number of post-development items coming up that people have went ahead and made additions and done things to their yards and houses that Municipal Planning Commission has had to deal with. It just seems to be that there seems to be a whole influx of these for some reason lately. A handy bus, we're working on the bylaws, and our next meeting will be in July. Library board, we've had lots of meetings. You know, we're losing board members, and we reworked the budget. Will be a presentation later tonight in the meeting. And the police commission, I'm on the committee that's hiring the potential candidates for the new training session that will be held from November to, I believe, April 1st or something. Tabor is hosting a training session for new candidates for police officers because there's so few of them out there that, so we've amalgamated. We have 12 openings, so we've amalgamated with 12 other police departments that are going to be involved in this.
All right, thank you. Counselor Bruin.
Nothing to report, Mr. Mayor.
Right, thank you. For myself, I did attend the Royal Canadian Air Cadet Squadron 225 annual review via Zoom here on a Saturday earlier this month with Al's expertise and attendance. We spent a couple hours with that, and that was very well done. Also attended the Tabor Christian High School groundbreaking. Attended the Linden View Gear Lords drive-by for parade for Carrie Yoshida. Also a parade celebration for World War II veteran Mr. Burns Wood and his 99th birthday. I've done a variety of interviews, attended quite a number of meetings as well, and a variety of required document signing and contracts as required. That would be my report, so I'm prepared to make that motion. Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that that council adopts accepts, the mayor and councilor reports for information.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And with that, that moves us to the delegations, which is at 5 o'clock, so we have some time. Oh, yeah, sorry, you're right. We'll deal with that first then. Item 6.4, standing item council requests. Mr. Urwa.
Yes, it's worship. So again, this is an opportunity again for council to provide some direction or maybe ask questions on any clarification if
All right.
there is. But I think on our standing items, if you can see on the board there, we do have 6 items at the moment. And I believe out of those 6, 2 will drop out because some of them have just been discussed. That is including the traffic committee and the one is the lighting path. So those are the ones remaining out there. And if you have any other question, clarification, please do so.
All right. Thank you, Councillor Beckert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had a request from a citizen of the town of Tabor regarding dog poop. Apparently we have a bunch of doggy bags for disposal at the trout pond, and this person said they walk their dog on the walking path beside Ken McDonald's Park, going north and south, of course. And right in the corner on the entrance of McDonald's Park, there's a garbage container. They would like to see a doggy poop basket hung there so they can get rid of it. Sorry for the weighty matter there.
All right. Thank you. So I guess just any clarification that there's no doggy waste bags at the Ken McDonald Park at all? Is that what I'm understanding?
I have no idea, Mr. Mayor. The person
Okay.
said like to have a doggy bag disposal system at the corner of McDonald's Park, entrance to
Oh, okay.
McDonald's Park.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Do you need an actual motion on that? No, that's all right. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Councillor Bruin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think dog owners should take a little responsibility and carry their own bags with them. It's not always up to the town to supply bags for poop, but I think it's a good idea if they are available. I had a question about 56 out there. Have they finished that street yet, or is they? And also with the Trout Pond Road, looks to me like there's going to be some drainage issues there.
Mr. Shearer.
So 56th Avenue is pretty about 98% complete. Don't forget over the next amount of time, however development goes, there is another layer of asphalt and curbs to be put on and things like that. Okay. Trout Pond Road, that was part of our project coming forward. We're hoping to get funding for the stormwater management and the paving of that road. So we're still in process of STIP, and that's where we just heard back on the one file.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just noticed that if we do ever get rain again in this country, there's going to be some low spots on that road out to the Trout Pond. I think it will probably be underwater, but we can handle that, I guess, at the time. And it's good to hear there's going to be another cover over that pavement, because I've had people say it's really quite rough for a newly paved road.
Yeah, that was part of it. It was rough, we know that, yes.
All right. Thank you, Councillor Garner.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I've been approached the last 7 to 10 days by a couple people on the Community and Blooms Committee. And they've got a concern with the way they have to water their flower beds right at the Centennial Park gate. And they're wondering if we can't maybe take a look at that. They have a turnkey thing that they have to squish down into the ground and turn, and they each take turns taking home a 50-foot hose that they kind of drag from there. So at this point, could administration look into that and make it more user-friendly for those gals? By maybe looking at putting some conventional hose bibs there that might be vandal-proof type things. And just return and report to us.
All right, any follow-up with that, with the motion, or you're okay with that? Okay. Okay, I wasn't sure quite how they were operating. I do see them there quite often, for sure. But, all right. Counselor Stubbs?
Yes, your worship, this is one that I've brought up several years ago, several times, is on the north, in the cemetery on the north end of, I think, I took a picture of it and of course left my phone at home, of GH. The road there seems to be constantly underwater there, and people are frustrated with trying to walk around it and get around when there's funerals or when they're going to visit their loved ones there. There's 3 definite spots that are quite low that accumulates water, and I've been approached numerous times on this here. And the last one that said to me, he said, well, if you're not going to do anything about it, I'll call another counselor that has more say than you do. So I'm getting the gears hard on that there.
All right,
No
thank
one's
you.
called me yet, Joe.
All right, thank you, Mr. Scheer.
Yeah, so we looked into numerous, few issues out there with the storm, with the cemetery. One actually was overwatering of the cemetery. That's why it was always wet. But it does need to be a storm line put in there. The cemetery is built in a bowl. That's part of the reason. So we are looking at that, and hopefully we'll bring it forth for council's capital project consideration. Because it won't be cheap, that's for sure.
All right, thank you. Anything else to add to that, Counselor Stravos?
No, that's, it's just an issue that we've brought up, discussed before, but there just never seemed to be any traction on it. But that's good, at least you're taking it under advisement and look at it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other new standing item requests? No motions required. All right. I would, again, the delegations are next for 5 o'clock, so we do have some time to take care of a couple of closed session items. We just ask for a motion to move into closed session, please. Councilor Bruin.
I can make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you.